and welcome back to thelondonbiker.com. You join me today in my garden towards the end of summer and it's getting a bit chilly, and we're going to try a recipe from Horizons Unlimited. Now this recipe is very basic. I've been criticised for having too much meat in my recipes, and after the breakfast mess, rightly so I think. So this is a recipe from Marie and she says, Matt, brilliant stuff. I thought I should read that out. You will be the next Delia Smith. Yeah, right. So what Marie said was that sometimes she likes a dish with just some simple vegetables in. So she suggested getting a small bag of frozen mixed veg, 2 or 3 eggs, chili sauce or spicy sauce, some mixed herbs, some salt and pepper, some oil, and you just let the veg defrost and pop it all in. Essentially an omelette. So we're going to do an omelette, but we're going to do it with eggs that I got from the chickens, and we're going to do it with fresh vegetables rather than from the shop, which is pretty good. So let's make a start. Most important thing, of course, and that's why the kettle is going now, is to get some tea on. So we've got, now you might be interested to know that I've changed stoves. We're now using the MSR Dragonfly. Excuse the dog in the background, that's Sam. Come and meet Sam. Sam, come here, come here. This is Sam, and this is Sophie, and they are dogs. Stacey's are my dogs, who are joining us for today's shoot. So let's get this water. Now this new MSR stove is very different to the Trangia in that it doesn't have the same integrated pan set. So we've got separate pans. The windshield is not integrated into the pan set at all, but the actual mechanism of the stove is exactly the same. It's a bottle with compressed paraffin gas, a simmer control that sits on the outside, and the burner is almost identical. The only thing about this stove so far is that I'm not overly impressed with this windshield, but it is lighter than the Trangia, so we're going to give it a good go. Now I'm told by the good guys at MSR that it's a fantastic stove, and we are going to challenge it with the omelette. The omelette is one of the most difficult things to do on the road, mainly because of the temperature control you need on the stove. So this is a good test. We've got the new flex pot, which is here, with the very clever little system for the handles. They come on and off like this, and just flip on, lock, done. Really, really simple. Let's just get the tea bag out of this tea. That's brewed about right. Tea is the most important thing when cooking on the road. Right, let's start. As ever, we're going to start off with a little bit of hand sanitizer, just to make sure our hands are nice and clean. Now the recipe called for frozen veg, but I'm not a big fan of frozen veg, so we're just going to chop up some spring onions, just nice and loose. Hello Sam, do you want to play? Do you want some of this? So we don't need very much because we're only going to do this for one person. We're only using 2 eggs, in fact. If I was doing this for 2 people, I would look at using maybe 3 or 4 eggs. And in fact, this skillet, this flex skillet, as it's called from MSR, is quite capable of doing a large omelette for several people. Now, I prefer to use larger pans on the road for the simple reason that I think it gives you much greater flexibility. Now I'm going to use a little bit of carrot in this. Nice thin strips because we don't want to heat this very much, and I'm not going to use the whole carrot, just a little bit, and we're going to just a little bit smaller than just a little bit of flavour, and we're also going to have a little bit of red pepper in here. Again, not very much, just a very, very simple omelette. And the thing I like about omelette recipes, especially veg ones, is the amount of variance you've got. It's whatever you found at the side of the road that day, whatever it is you happen to have to hand. Now, we're just going to pop the pan on. Now this is the non-stick pan. A little bit of oil in here. Not too much, just enough to lubricate the pan. And I'm going to whack the heat right up. We're going to get this going full on. Put that on there. Readjust the windshield a little. You want to get the heat so that it's just, you want it nice and hot as soon as the eggs go in. Grab your eggs, crack them, 2 eggs into your pot that you've just made your tea in. Give them a whisk, like that, straight out the tea. So we just want to break those eggs up a little bit, just like that. Now you could add a little bit of milk, or if you might want to break it down a little bit of oil, but you don't need very much at all. Drop in your vegetables that you've cut up. Mix that all together. This is going to cook so quickly. Now, I like a little bit of bite, so a little bit of mild chili powder. Sam, come here. You just want to play, don't you? Yes, drop that, come on. A little bit of mild chili powder, and of course, there we go, Sam, come here. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Sam's determined to help. He's a good boy. Mix it all up. Now, be ready for this. As you can see, this pan is now absolutely piping hot. Now, the problem we're going to have is actually that's maybe a little bit too hot. So I'm going to turn the simmer down on this, drop the heat quite a lot, let the edge come off the heat of that pan. Now, we want the eggs to go in, and as soon as the eggs go in, they're going to start to bind to the pan. So what we need to do is be ready to move the eggs around on the pan, just disturb the bottom, almost as if you are going to do, so what you're trying to do is almost as if you're going to do scrambled egg. But all you're doing is just agitating the bottom of the egg so that you get a little bit of depth to the omelette. So let's give it a go. Let's see if it works. We've got a nice bit of heat in there now. We have the eggs. Let's just pull straight away. They're making that noise. It's all in. Now just a little bit more heat. Agitate the bottom. So you can see the egg isn't quite turning into scrambled egg, but you're just bringing it off the bottom of the pan like that. And this is important, otherwise you get very little depth to your omelette. Now we'll just start to let that cook through, and we'll come back to it in a second. He's good. Come on then. Right, I think that's been going long enough. So if we have a look down here, you can just see that the egg is a little bit loose around the edge. You can hear that wonderful sound. Now, important thing about omelettes. Sometimes they go horribly wrong, and you shouldn't worry about it. An omelette that's just a big pile of messy egg is just as good as an omelette that's beautifully turned over. So, to prove we don't care to edit this, let's try and turn this omelette and see if it works. So, trick is, loosen it around the edges. Try and make sure it's as loose to the pan as possible. This isn't going to work. This is going to go, oh, no, that's not too bad, not too shabby. Stuck a little bit there. Cooked. There's our omelette. Loose on the bottom of the pan. It's a little bit messy, but hey, that's not the end of the world. Turn the cooker off, and let's do the most important thing. Let's give it the Cashmore taste test. So if you come and have a look at this, let's break this apart so you can see. The egg, the consistency of the egg is still a little bit soft. We can see that what we've aimed for is that the hardest veg in there is just still a little bit crispy but nice and warm, and that the consistency is what you'd expect of really good scrambled egg. Actually, you don't want it overdone, you want it just nice. Oh, I've never put chili powder in an omelette before. I'm going to do that next time. That's beautiful. That little kick, that little kick of the chili powder in with the eggs lifts it wonderfully. And of course, using fresh eggs instead of supermarket bought eggs is something special. Now remember, we covered how to carry eggs in the last video for breakfast mess. Just get an egg box and tape them down, make sure they're not next to each other. That works quite well. Or you can scramble your egg before you go and pop it into one of these to carry with you. In fact, I think that is the one we used in Wales, and I think I've forgotten to open it and clean it out, so that'll be really good. Anyway, Bon appetit. Thanks for watching.